Edexcel C2, 2014, question 6. First time of a geometric series, so it could be a GP question. We're given A and R. Find the value of the infinite sum. And we can do that because R has a value less than 1 and bigger than minus 1. The sum to n terms, so we've got a log question here. Find the smallest value of n for which, after we've found for 2 marks, the value of S12. Okay, so part A. A is equal to 20, R is equal to 7/8, S infinity is equal to A over 1 minus R, and that's equal to 20 over 1 take away 7/8 is an eighth, and that's equal to 160. Done. S12. Well, we know that Sn is equal to A 1 minus R to the n over 1 minus R. Well, look, we've already got A over 1 minus R. So Sn, S12 is what we want, is equal to A over 1 minus R times 1 minus R, which is 7/8, to the power of 12. And that's equal to 160. 1 take away 7/8 to the power of 12, that's equal to, so calculate time. 7/8 is 0.875 to the power of 12. 1 take away answer times by 160 equals, no, that's not right, 160 bracket 1 take away 0.875 to the power of 12 equals 127.77. 32419. That's the answer to part B. And part C, smallest value of n for which, so Sn takeaway, sorry, S infinity takeaway Sn is less than 0.5, so 160 take away Sn, so we've got A over 1 minus R again, 160 bracket 1 minus 7/8 to the power of n is less than 0.5. This is our S infinity, and this is Sn, and we're doing a takeaway look. So we've got, when we expand this bracket, I've got 160 times 1, but it's minus, so that's nothing. 160 take away that 160 is nothing, minus 160 times this, so 160 times 7/8 to the power of n is less than a half. Let's be consistent, we've got fractions here. So let's divide by the 160. Remember, this is to the power of n, so that's 1 over 320. And now we've got to solve this inequality for when n is the power log. So we've got to undo the power thing. So this is where we use logs. So I'm going to use natural log of 7/8 to the power of n is less than natural log of 1 over 320. And we use the log law, where something to the power and then log it is the same as n times log of something. And now I can get n by itself by moving the log 7/8 to the other side of this inequality sign. But we need to be a bit careful. When I've taken logs here, it's fine. I don't have to worry about the inequality. Taking logs both sides, the inequality is intact. But if we divide by -1, and I fear this is, then we've got to change that inequality around. And there is another YouTube I've done to explain why we do that. And it also gives you an example like this one. So log of 7/8, 0.875, is a negative log. So when we divide by the negative, log 1 over 320 divided by log of 7/8. Because we're dividing by a negative number, this one, then we've got to change the inequality around. And so that gives us that n is bigger than, so that's log of 7/8. Look, so if we do log of 1 divided by 320 and then divide that by previous answer, we get 43.1982387. So n is bigger than this one, and that's fine. Except we haven't finished yet, because the question says find the smallest value of n for which this is true, and n can only be an integer, therefore n is 44. That's our final answer. And now we do a check, as we always do at the end of a question before we move on to the next one. Check. When n is 43, sum infinity take away sum of 43 terms should be less than 0.5. So, sorry, bigger than 0.5. When n is 44, it's less than 0.5. So the difference between these is bigger than 0.5 when n is smaller than 44. So if we put n is 43 into this formula, we should get, well, I'm just going to do sum of n, and that should be a number less than 159.5. S43 is equal to 160, 1 minus 7/8 to the power of 43, and that should be less than 159.5, because when we do 160 take away something less than 159.5, the answer is going to be bigger than 0.5. So 160 bracket 1 minus 0.875 to the power of 43 is 159.4, so just a little bit less than 159.5. 4865877. So we're expecting S44 to be a little bit bigger than 159.5. Equals 160, 1 minus 7/8 to the power of 44, and that's equal to, so we can go back and change that power to 44, and we get 159.55 ... and that's our check, and there's our answer.